It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Here is your top 5 at 6 for a Wednesday morning. MnDOT's Name a Snowplow contest is now officially open for voting through February 7th. The top 50 snowplow names, you can get online and vote for your favorite. We're not going to share all 50 with you, but a few of these leap off the page. The very first one on the list, I wouldn't call myself a card-carrying member of the Tommy Two-Tone fan club. However, 867-530 Brine.
I like that one.
I like that one.
Fatigue with this contest. Fatigue.
Oh, come on.
They don't have any snow to plow, man. They got to do something.
Yeah. Okay. How about happy hour? Doesn't that sound like fun?
You know what? Knock back a shot of something, and this will get a lot more fun for you. I promise you.
Okay.
A cumulus removus. Come on. People put a lot of effort into this. They tried. Frosty the Snowplow. No, you're dismissed. Get out of here with that. That's too obvious. Come on.
Plowed. Just plowed.
Little plow on the prairie. You just want to get plowed? Fine. I'm not going to stop you. Oh, you know what? Oh, this is another one. I do like this. Plowabunga. Come on. Plowabunga is good, Zach.
Yeah.
Give it up.
It's awesome. High five. I mean, yeah, this is fun every year. I like it. I like winter, too. I mean, I don't know what to do with this anymore. First 5 years, I was like Googling stuff and, coming up with things and, I don't know, getting stoned and what would I do? But now it's just like, okay, everybody's doing this. Tennessee has one. Did you know that? Tennessee has a snowplow naming contest.
Yeah,
Jump
but
the shark, boys and girls.
They just end up getting drunk and shooting at the damn thing. It's a whole different story down there. One last one. Snow Country for Cold Men. I got to work in a Coen Brothers reference when I can.
That's my favorite.
All right.
That is a pretty good one. Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. According to a new survey, the average worker here in America wakes up at 6:30. They leave their house about 7:23. They feel ready to interact with other people at 8:40, but they're not fully on top of their game, not fully engaged and charged up until 9:40 a.m., which is news to us who are wrapping up our workday right around 9:40 a.m.
Right. Most people don't even remember their commutes, which I think kind of takes the pressure off of us this morning.
Great.
It's, you know what? It's like the show Severance. It's not about the workday. It's about just the commute. You get in, you get out, and you're like, what just happened? I have no idea. I don't know. I was listening to the KQ Morning Show, and Zepp was bitching about snowplow names, and then I ended up at work.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that happens. 55% said they find themselves at work with a glazed look on their face in the morning. How do you know? You don't know if you have a glazed look on your face. You have to. You can rat out your coworkers. I'm just saying. Listen, this is what it comes down to. Get up at 6:30, wake fully up at 9:40, and the rest of your day is, I don't know, kind of mind-numbingly something or other. Look, by 9:40, I'm usually starting my first nap, so I really should have just tapped out of this story 3 minutes ago. Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. A man works for the city for years and years, puts his heart and soul, I'm assuming, into making his world a little better in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A city employee, 65 years old, got to be closing in on retirement, and he goes into the city-county building. That's a downtown building in Pittsburgh, not far from the mayor's office on the 5th floor, and something goes awry in the men's room, and it involves, well, you know what? We've got the 911 call for you. Take a listen to this.
Along with EMS and the sheriff's units are requesting a city officer respond to the 5th floor. They have a 65-year-old male with a gash to his leg after having a toilet explode.
A toilet explode. You work hard. You give your life to the city, and you sit down to drop a deuce, and the damn toilet explodes. What kind of payback is that, Pittsburgh? I'm sorry, man. I mean, I've heard about exploding toilets, but never literally exploding toilets. I mean, we've all dropped a bomb or two along the way, but this thing really exploded on this poor guy.
I know. Well, there's a guy in Brooklyn, 100 years ago. I'm going to say probably 10. Blew up 30 stitches to his arms and legs.
Oh.
Exploding toilet. That porcelain. That's sharp, jagged edges.
Yeah.
I know. I busted one with my head one night.
Oh,
No.
Really? Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No, I didn't want to do it. I just, it was a snowplow contest, and I'd had enough.
Yeah,
I just
that's it.
headbutted a toilet.
Booty Shelton. Booty Shelton was a kid's name. A friend of mine's
that's a
older
good
brother.
snowplow name.
Yeah, good shit. Booty Shelton, great snowplow name. He blew up a toilet at a junior high school. Dropped an old school, a real honest-to-God M80, lit into a toilet and flushed it. And it
That's
flushed.
legendary.
And it went down, and then eventually it exploded and blew the entire junior high, boys' bathroom was out of work for like a week. And Booty Shelton, just such a great name. He went to a military academy in Virginia after that. He was shipped out that week. And last I heard, he was still the guy that everyone remembers for blowing up a toilet. I don't know that he did much else in his life.
Well, I mean, the Army has use for people like that. They want to blow things up.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's totally cool to peak in junior high.
Yeah.
Number 2 on your top 5 at 6. Oh, man, Minnesota Wild. Come on. Kaprizov gets back, plays a few games, nowhere near 100%, and now the Wild are saying, you know what? He's going to be out again for some surgery. Still not over that lower body injury. I always love the lower body injury report.
Where is that?
I don't know. You never know what it means.
Yeah, no, that's all we got is a lower body. I've read 4 stories, and they're just like, yeah, it's below the belt.
Yeah.
Lower
body. I don't know.
Is this another one of those testicle things that we had earlier this season?
Yeah,
I didn't want
I was
to.
figuring it was a euphemism for groin, but they didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
You just never know. But he's going to be, if he's able to return in 4 weeks, which is the hope, he'd only miss 10 games because there's a 2-week break on the NHS schedule with the Four Nations Face-Off tournament coming up. So let's hope that the young lad is back after missing as few games as possible. But the teams say, look, he's better than most guys in the league, even at 60%. But you know what? Yeah, playing at 60% lends itself to you playing at 0%. And so get fully recovered before you get back into a game like, professional hockey.
Right. Yeah. No, they've been on a bit of a slide without him. And now they're headed out east for, like a 4-game swing against a pretty tough team. So get well, and maybe there'll be some playoffs at the end of this thing.
Let's hope so. Good morning to Oakdale. Happy to have you with us. Oakdale, Minnesota. We're thinking of you. You know what to do. The good people of Oakdale who refuse to get involved in this snowplow nonsense. We appreciate you. Number 1 in your top 5 at 9. This is a whole bunch of information I never thought I'd share when I moved to Minnesota 2 years ago. Local golf courses, a couple of them, have some tee times available for tomorrow, January 30th. Oak Summit Golf Club in Rochester and Montgomery National Golf Club will both be open tomorrow and Sunday. What's going on, guys? Everyone's like, you can't move to Minnesota. It's too cold up there. I want to go out and play golf tomorrow just to shove it in everyone's face and say, what do you think of that?
There's no reason you can't feel miserable in January, Steve. I say go for it. I don't know. I mean, I look forward to winter, so I'm like, God, thank God I don't have to look at those golf clubs and go, I really should go out and throw one of those at a tree today. But no, it's kind of fun. I mean, you got to get out and do something, right? That breaks up the cabin fever, get you the hell away from your spouse for a while, unless they like to golf too. That relationship never lasts.
It's funny. We've had the conversation over the years. Rosemary's like, maybe I should pick up golf. I mean, there's going to be a time, and I always go, that's a great idea. And then I think to myself, I don't know that that's a great idea. And not that I don't love to spend all the time I can with my beloved, but it's like, I don't know. That would be that'd be bending in a new element that I've never really had to consider.
Yeah, Barb and Jeff Collins, longtime employees here at KQRS, now retired, living in a golf community out there in Arizona with everyone else, golf together all the time, constantly, like 5 days a week. That's all those two ever did was golf. I'm like, how can you two golf together? And Jeff just looked at me and he said, we don't have kids, stupid. That's all he said. They never had children. That's the only variable that I can make this equation work, I guess, but they pulled it off. And why not? Get out and swing the clubs. I think that this weekend they're supposed to have out in Wayzata their big snow golf tournament, or is it out on the Lake Minnetonka? They might actually have to move it.
Open?
Yeah, the Chili Open, that's it. It's coming up here. They're going to actually have to move it to a golf course because crap's going through the ice already over in Minnetonka, I read this morning.
Man, go figure. All right, well, there's your top 5 at 6. We're putting together a midweek mixtape for a Wednesday. What song do you put on repeat anytime you get the chance? With Groundhog Day this weekend, it's Sunday. I must have said Saturday earlier because plenty of people are correcting me on the KQ Talk and text line. It's Sunday, Groundhog Day. What song do you look forward to hearing over and over and over again? So many text messages already. She sells seashells. She sells
down by the
Sanctuary.
seashore.
Down
Peter
by
Piper.
the shore.
The
Cult, She sells Sanctuary. There it is. You know, once the drums kick in, all you want to be doing is driving extremely fast anywhere on the planet. That's a very good point. I can roll with the Cult all day long.
Yeah.
The first one I saw, Can't You Hear Me Knocking by the Rolling Stones.
Oh, I
go
knew
along
that
with
one.
that. I'm good with that anytime, any day, any night.
Yeah, you only have to hear it like 3 times, and that's 24 hours, isn't it?
That's
a long
the whole
tune.
point.
I love it. Yeah, right.
My childhood song on repeat for years was also a lengthy tune. Hocus Pocus by Focus.
Oh,
The
the
instrumental
yodeling.
complete with
Yeah.
yodeling tune from everybody's favorite Dutch band not named Golden Earring. I would play that. I would put it on the turntable, put the album down, and play it until an older sibling came in and screamed at me. And usually that took one time through. But I'd go 2 or 3 if I got the chance. Wow, look at this. This just came in. Peace Anyway by the Black Crowes. An unheard, not very well-known, one of my favorite Black Crowes songs. Actually, if you said, what are your top 5, that's always been in there. So, hey, man, I'm glad one person on earth knows that song other than me.
yeah. I mean, I've probably heard them all at one point. What album? Refresh my memory so I can go track it down.
It was not released. It was. It came out. We recorded it in '97, and then there was a thing called. We made an album called Band, and then it was never released. And then in 2006, I want to say it kind of came out. 2 albums that had never been put publicly. We released them on a small. It's hard to find. I'll send you an MP3.
All right, thanks.
We'll make
I
it work.
appreciate that. Make this easy for me, man.
Yeah,
that sounds cool now.
All that to say, I'll hook you up. I know a guy. 651-989-ROCK. Let us know the song you can never hear enough times.
Sports history with the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
It is time for Sports and Music History. January the 29th, 30 years ago today, 1995. The San Francisco 49ers destroyed the Chargers in Super Bowl 29, 49-26. The game was not as close as the score. Steve Young finally got the Joe Montana monkey off his back. 325 yards, 6 touchdown passes, a shellacking. Rodney Harrison was on that Chargers team, the great safety for the Patriots a few years later. And he said, we looked across the field before kickoff, and it felt like an all-star team playing a Little League team. We were that intimidated. Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay, then. I remember that game very clearly because I was in London, England. My band, the Black Crowes, played the Royal Albert Hall that night. And after the show, we walked into the dressing room and just had one of the band fights of all time. Donnybrook started between the brothers. I got involved. Johnny, our bassist, got involved. And it's about to turn into an absolute... a full-on melee in the dressing room. And the door opens, and Robert Plant walks in. And everybody immediately goes, hey, Robert, how you doing?
Yeah.
Hey!
Like when Dad gets home.
We had toured with him over the years and knew him, and we were like, everyone's on their best behavior immediately. And then he goes, I brought someone with me. And Jimmy Page walked in right behind him.
And then the fight started again.
Yeah, right. No, and then we were like, oh, my God. First time we met Page... That night led to him sitting in with us a couple weeks later, and then a few years later we toured. It was a pretty heady night, to say the very least.
What was that fight about?
Right. Something that happened in 1973.
You never remember what they're about. The big fights, yeah. What started on? I don't know.
When you got brothers in a band, it's like you might think it was about that C chord. It was about that bowl of tricks in the 7th grade. That's how that goes.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is January the 29th, so that means it's cold out there, but not as cold as a few people think it's going to be. I'm saying that because I'm reading a story right now about an SUV who went through the ice in Lake Minnetonka. Oh, an SUV driver did manage to escape without injury after he crashed into the water. Okay, 2 years in, I've still yet to fall through the ice anywhere,
Well, that's
either
good.
walking or in a vehicle. And I intend to keep that streak alive, ladies and gentlemen. I have no interest in crashing through the ice, but I just want to say this. If you've gone through, I want to know about it. I want to hear about it. 651-989-ROCK. What led you to think the ice was thick enough for your car or for your fat ass? Whatever the situation is, what led you to breaking through? Man, I mean, this is brutal. The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office said, yep, we got another vehicle going through, attempting to drive through pressure ridges on Lake Minnetonka. Luckily, no one was hurt. It was on Lower Lake North. We cannot stress the importance of using caution on ice. And I'm not coming from a world where this was even a remote possibility, where I've lived most of my life. And now that I've been here 2 years, it's still, I can't imagine looking across any lake, and you could say, hey, it's been frozen for 60 straight days. I'm not going to take my car. That's me. In fact, I'm not going to walk out there. That's also me. If you got an ice fishing house, and I see you out there doing it, and then you explain to me, I mean, I could see ice fishing if I'm walking out there. The whole idea of driving out onto the ice, no, I'm sorry. I don't know that it's within me to ever trust that situation.
Well, better off. We call this, by the way, Tonka Smart. And Lake Minnetonka, it's a special body of water for a lot of reasons. But yeah, you talk about these channels and these ridges and these cracks that develop, weak spots, and otherwise perfectly good ice to be out on. But you really have to know what you're doing out there. And this person didn't. A couple of my favorite comments on this story, Jason. This person is why we have instructions on the back of shampoo bottles. But my favorite, Chad, you dog you, I love it. They were just trying to purify their SUV in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. Yeah,
there
that's
it is.
A good one.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it could. You could have 16 inches of ice out there, which they don't probably, and still find a channel out there to pop into. So I wouldn't find me out driving around on Lake Minnetonka. People that know the lake and have done it most of their lives, they get away with it, but not this person. Now, it's frickin' spring break. That was quite a winter we had, wasn't it? Remember when it was cold there for a while?
651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. If you got a story, we are all ears. Ryder, you grew up here. I imagine if you'd ever gone through, we would have heard about it.
No, I've made it 41 solid years not going through the ice, so you got a ways to catch up to me, Steve. But yeah, the streak is unbroken.
Not even a polar plunge?
High school,
not even a polar plunge.
High school party scene. I mean, do you know of anybody that went
through
it?
I was dispatching cable. I got a cable guy that really loved ice fishing, so that would be what he would do. He did tell me a story about he was out one weekend, and this was towards the end of the season, so things are starting to get slushy. So he's sitting there fishing, and then turns around, and the sedan has slowly started to sink into the lake, and he's like, it's too late. Yeah, so eventually ended up at the bottom. He said it was like $10,000 to get his car out because he can't just leave it there.
No,
it's freaking expensive.
They charge you for it. Yeah, go figure.
But the water's so cold it doesn't do any damage to the car.
No, it preserves the
Totally
fine
fine.
leather, actually.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's the secret to Corinthian leather. It's
froze all the snacks and the beef jerky he had in the back seat. Yeah.
Oh.
Man,
beer should float up.
I have I don't think I've ever had I don't know if I had a dream as a kid or a nightmare as a kid, but I do have there's like a visceral, it's not quite as bad as snakes, but the idea of going through the ice, it terrifies me. I must have seen a movie as a kid or something, but when I see on I'm looking at Facebook and there'll be a reel and it's like, brave man saves dog who fell through the ice. I just keep going. I can't watch that stuff.
Yeah.
When I see people do the polar plunge, and you were laughing the other day, oh yeah, let's do it. I mean, my teeth start to chatter, and it's 76 degrees in this studio, and I'm going.
You're starting to clamp up a little bit just talking about it.
It really winds me up, man. And the idea of doing it in a car, I'm just like, oh, forget it. I don't know. But I'm just. That's what I think about. It's that moment, like this guy on Minnetonka was probably feeling pretty good, and then it's just like there's that split second where you're like, uh-oh, and then it's. You either jump and run or you don't, and it's too late. I mean, just that split second of, oh, my God, my entire plan has gone horribly awry. That freaks me out. That to me is no different than going, how come the parachute's not opening?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that, like 30-some years ago when I first moved here, some guys were like, oh, we got to go ice fishing. And we got out there, and it was in December. I believe we were out on Howard Lake out there. Or Independence, one of those out west, the cities where he has his farm. And we go out there, and he drives the SUV down onto the ice, and the SUV immediately goes through the ice and sinks about a foot. And I'm like, all right, that's it. We'll see you guys later. I'll be at the American Legion. Let me know how many fish you caught. I'm not helping clean them, by the way. But, yeah, I mean, when you grow up on the lakes out here, you got a different mentality.
It is Wednesday. We are putting together midweek mixtape in honor of the fact that... let's see. Groundhog Day is this weekend. It's Sunday. What song can you never get enough of? What song do you put on repeat if you get the chance? So many text messages. How about this one from Sean? He said, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, December 1963. Oh, what a night. Yeah, I'll admit, when I was a kid and that came out, early 70s, I loved that song. Yeah. I was so down with that. And now, when I hear Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons generally, I just want to pull my teeth out. So it's funny how things can change. And this text just came in. Thank you very much. In the movie The Omen, the kid goes to the ice playing hockey on the lake. You get to watch him float along underneath the ice as he's trying to get out. Thank you. That is probably where it comes from. The movie The Omen, the kid under the ice. And now I'm completely traumatized all over again. Why did I read that text message? A question for you. What's the sexiest job in the world right now? What do you see people doing that turns you on? I'm curious. Sexiest job, 651-989-ROCK. You can feel free to text us in your suggestions, maybe even call, if you will. Bob texted in, I'm a carpenter, and my wife loves it when I have my leather work pouch on.
Yeah, there's a wood joke in there somewhere, too.
Gotta be. Nothing like a little woodwork. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Carpenter would be on my list. Handyman, I think that would be the number one answer.
I would think so too. It's not. I'm sorry to say. I have the list in front of me. This is a poll of 2,000 single people. This was a poll of single people. Sexiest jobs right now. Ryder, you said handyman. Any other suggestions, Ryder? What else comes to mind?
Rock star, right? Musician.
You would. I would certainly think.
Yeah. I mean, we're just going with sexy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. No. It's 2025. I'm sorry to say Rockstar doesn't have quite the panache it once did, apparently. Zepp, you want to throw anything out there? What do you got?
Well, I once dated a sexy mortician, and that's not a joke. She was a mortician. I'm not going to give up the city. She'd get mad at me because she tells people we didn't date, but we did for 3 months.
Wow.
I don't know, Walmart greeter. Walmart greeter on there anywhere?
No, not yet anyway.
All right.
These
DMV employee.
Now, Aaron did text in radio DJ. See? Yeah, now you're talking, Aaron. You and me think so, but no, apparently not. Yeah. We also had, let me see. So, Dan called in. He said exotic dancer or porta potty cleaner. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'll say this.
Women love men who can clean crap up, so that might be on the list.
That could very well be on the list.
Not worth it.
No.
I tell you what, I've never been more attracted to someone on their job, ever, than the dude who got the wasps cleared out of my house that time. I had a big wasp nest, and I called a guy after hours, 7 p.m., scared to death. My wife is allergic to bees, and there's 15,000 yellow jackets in my house. And the dude who showed up and took care of it within a couple hours, never been more attracted to a human being in my life.
Almost kissed him.
There's nothing he could have said. When I said, how much is this? I pulled up my checkbook. I thought he was going to say $69,000. And I was going to go, okay, I don't have that on me, but I'll get a loan. I was willing. There was no number he could have given where I wouldn't have said okay. Yeah. And he said $265. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I wrote that check, and I was like, man, can I? Do I ask or do I just plant one right on him? I didn't do either. But no, I get it. I was like, that guy got my house wasp free. I was putty in his hands. But wasp removal not on the list either.
Not on the list. All right, let's quit screwing around here. Brandy, thanks for the assist. Just messaged. Firefighters.
Oh, that was
Duh.
going to be my next one.
Yeah, I mean, they get their
Firefighters.
own calendars for crying out
Yes.
loud.
First responders, firefighters, paramedics, number 3 on your list.
Oh,
All right,
ding, ding,
then.
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
You got a winner, Brandy.
Number 2, which I'm not disagreeing, but I think people are just trying to look great. Education, teachers and professors. No, you're just trying to, we don't pay them enough, and so you're trying to say, yeah, but they're sexy. They get that going for us. I'm not sure.
Any kid that went to a small school like I did over there in East River, South Dakota, we had, 18 kids in my graduating class. So we were the starter teacher position. Either you were 78 years old with huge arthritic knuckles as one of our teachers, or you were 23, just out of college, and, hey, I'm going to go start, and we'll see South Dakota. And let me tell you about those 23-year-olds. Male or female,
sure.
they were, because the young guys were coaches. So, in fact, both of our... we had 2 football coaches consecutively marry high school seniors and then quit their jobs. So there was monkey business going around.
Oh, my God. That's incredible.
I know. It is crazy. So, no, teachers. And Sid the Kid told the story here on my birthday that I had a bit of a crush on one of her teachers at one point. Yeah.
Well, these things happen.
Yeah.
Text just came in. I'm sorry, this is not number 1 on the list from the poll, but it's number 1 on the text line. The hottie at FedEx Kinko's on Highway 96 in North Oaks.
Oh, you've been outed. Oh.
Hello, everybody. Suddenly, FedEx Kinko's Highway 96. Let's see what we got going on over there. No, on this poll, and again, these are single people. Number 1, healthcare. Doctor, number 1. Nurse, number 2.
Nurse.
Yeah, you said this was young people they had pulled, right? Young single people. That's because they don't have health care. And they're like, any doctor will do.
That is exactly right.
Doctors for money, I guess. And then the nurses because they know how to work a sponge.
Man, don't they? The things I still haven't experienced in life. I just need more surgery. I got to get that sponge bath scene going. Because from what I remember from certain movies that ran on HBO when I was in 8th grade, the nurse sponge bath is a real highlight in life.
Right. And the best time to meet a nurse? Halloween, oddly enough. They're all over the place.
I noticed that. They really get out.
Yeah,
they get out. Yeah. They're like, I wish I could dress more like this all the time. That's fascinating how that works. By the way, there's a list of several of these things, but also on the list, tech. Data analysis, IT people, tech support. But see, that's what it is. The people that keep us online. I guess we find that sexy. I don't know. But check this out. Being passionate about what you do, whatever you do, is apparently very, very sexy. So the values that make you attracted to other people, a passion for what you're doing. Okay. Sure. I guess that checks out. This is where I go all awry. This is single people prioritizing a good work-life balance. No, you're single. No, you don't have a work-life balance as a single person.
Should
you
be a
just go
life
work.
balance.
You're just going at everything. You have to establish who you are and what you're doing, and you got to climb that ladder. Once you get a cat, not to mention a spouse or a kid, then you can think about balance. But come on, when you're single, there's no balance. It's a myth. It's a joke.
Yeah, they just read that online.
I think that's exactly what they did. Number 4, working well with others. Oh, stop it.
Says the remote generation.
Yeah, exactly. Working well with others. I guess that means never having bad breath because you're never in the same room with somebody. Maybe it's just that simple. Speaking of sexiest jobs, there's one that didn't make the list that I do think we need to take a few minutes with. And this is a real job. Villain for hire.
What?
Villain for hire. This sounds like a Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap story, but it's not. It's real, and I'll share it with you. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
We've all had a weird job along the way. I mean, anybody that gets into their... Hell, by the time you're in your 30s, you should have had at least one job where you look back and go, I can't believe I actually got paid to do that. Some weirder than others. And, of course, some of these are just good old-fashioned, somebody coming up and doing their own thing, creating their own lane, if you will. And I'm thinking about this because there's a man who is known as a villain for hire. This is a guy in Malaysia who's got a pretty successful operation going through a Facebook page, Villain for Hire. His name is Shazali Suleiman, and he's got an intimidating physical appearance. He's got like an unkempt long hair, beard, big fella, and he's realized over the years a lot of people they kind of they see him coming on the sidewalk. They give him space. He's intimidating just to look at. And he's not at all that kind of a guy. But he realized, well, if people think I'm some sort of bad dude or a tough guy or a criminal, maybe there's a lane here for me. So this is what he does. He says, for a reasonable fee, I can help you. Say, are you tired of your partner thinking you're weak? Let me prove them wrong. So this is what he does.
Okay.
He shows up at a predetermined location pretending to be a villain or a criminal or a cat burglar. And the person who hired him then performs some heroic feat. Specifically, he said his last gig was in a bar. A couple's in a bar. The boyfriend goes to the bathroom. The boyfriend has hired this guy to come in. As soon as the boyfriend goes to the bathroom, he steps up and starts to harass the girlfriend. Hey, what's going on? What are you doing? Who you here with? What do you think of me? When the dude comes back from the bathroom, again, this is the client who hired the villain for hire. He confronts him. They get into a scrape. He physically removes this guy from the bar, and he looks like a badass in front of his girlfriend.
And for a few bucks more, he'll bang your girlfriend while you record and take notes.
I got it. That's exactly where I'm thinking. This could go in a lot of ways the quote-unquote client doesn't see coming. But my first thought is, okay, let's say this happens. Let's say the villain for hire chases you off. Or you chase him off, I should say. You look like a badass in front of your girlfriend. You step back to the bar. She's like, oh, baby, I didn't know you had that in you. And you're like, there's a lot about me you don't know. But don't worry. I would never, ever physically assault someone that didn't ask for it. And if anyone comes at you, you get to throw whatever bowl you're going to lay down, right? You go through all this. What happens when your girlfriend somehow puts it together that this wasn't real? Maybe she comes across his Facebook page. Maybe she hears about a very similar story from someone else. What happens when the woman realizes you hired a guy to make yourself look tough?
What happens
She'd be flattered?
What happens when she beats you to the punch and she beats him up? And then you look even worse.
That's right. Yeah,
and
exactly.
you wasted all your money.
Yeah, you're right. That's more likely. Or what happens the next time there's a tough guy and she goes, look at that guy over there harassing that woman. You know what to do, sweetie. Go take care. Well, I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, this could backfire in a lot of different ways. I would love to try this myself with someone I'm dating, except that instead of going to the bathroom, I would sneak out the back door and then run around and look through the window and just watch him keep harassing her, And then at some point he's like, is this guy going to come out of the back? It would get awkward, wouldn't it? And then they end up leaving together, probably.
I had a buddy who never asked me to do this for him, but for a while, this is the salad days. When he was out with a girl, he would tell me, my buddy JT, he'd say, hey, man, I'm going to go here we're going to get a bite to eat at this burrito place, and then I'm going to go here to see a band. But he'd say, hey, around 7, call this restaurant and ask for me. Say it's important. There's someone in there. You got to get to them. And I'd go, okay. And so this is obviously way before cell phones. And so the scene would be he's sitting with a girl. And it would be a burrito joint or a pizza place. Nothing like nice. But he's sitting there with a girl. They're chatting. And then like the dude from the cash register would come over and go, excuse me, are you JT? There's a phone call for you. They say it's very important. And he'd go, oh, okay, excuse me. And he'd get up and leave the girl at the table. And he thought that it looked impressive. He was like, no, I mean, think about it, man. When someone's tracking you down, that rings out. And I'd go, yeah, but what are you going to tell her happened? And I would say, it's a work thing and I can't talk about it. That was his answer.
Very mysterious, yeah.
And
in other words, he's a drug dealer. That's what she thinks.
and then I would say, so does that work? He goes, I don't know, not yet, but it's gonna. One of these days, someone's gonna be impressed. And I'm not making this up. I did that several times. I would call and be like, yeah, hey, JT's got these glasses. He's in there. It's an emergency. They'd be like, all right, hang on. And 11 minutes later, he'd come up with the phone. Hey, thanks, man. He would just hang the phone up immediately. Like, yeah, sure. Glad I could help. So anyway, villain for hire. Maybe if you are listening to this show and you have an unkept villainous appearance, whether you want to or not, man, go for it, man. See if you can get away with something here. You just never know. There's a job for everyone. Our buddy Tubby from Northeast texts in all the time, and he shared this. The coolest, sexiest job I ever had was assistant manager of Imperial Chateau Wine Shop in St. Petersburg. 88 to 90. We had wine pourings every Friday night and would end up in a bikini-filled hot tub after every one. Okay, That's its own kind of villainous activity, I imagine. That's pretty great.
Good for
Bravo.
Teddy.
Having a place to go, being a regular at a bar. If you got a local, as they say, obviously you appreciate it, you love it. It's your local for a reason. But a new study is finding out that being a regular at a local bar is actually good for you in ways you might not understand. People who have a bar, a la Cheers, where everybody knows your name, are significantly happier. My cousin, who went to a local for years, and this is a true story, when he would walk in, everybody would go, Gorm!
That's not bad.
No, it's great. The first time I saw it, I had like a tear in my eye. Oh my God, that's so great.
I know.
And the people who were studying this, they said, look, the increasing tendency in our life to be online, we have now a couple generations of people who aren't interacting the way people did forever before because of online and social media. So meeting old friends at a bar, but more important, making new ones, hugely impactful and important for your life. So that's it. Tonight, I guess I got to go find yet another local to take on. You know what? It doesn't say there's anything wrong with having 7 locals, one for each night.
Each night of the week? Yeah, right. You don't want to suggest that you have a problem. When you walk in and they don't say Norm, they look at you and just sort of slowly turn back away from you. But yeah, that's what I usually get at Schuler's.
Well,
like,
the folks who have this, the people who are regulars, actually less likely to binge drink. Now, binge drink is what the younger amateurs do. Now, that doesn't mean you're not drinking a lot, but you're what we call a pro. You can handle it. You're used to it. It's a part of your life. You're not going there to tie one on because of something set you off the course emotionally. You're going to tie one on because it's what you do. Does that make sense? Am I justifying that enough?
It does make sense. And when you're a local writer, you get this at your local dive bar. Schuler's is kind of my hangout in the summer. In the winter, I hibernate. But so I go there quite often. And you just want to kind of casually drink. You have a few. You're talking to some people. You're playing some pull tabs. And then the binge drinkers come in. And they're annoying as hell.
Right.
Shot.
I think they show up about 8:30. So I generally bail by then. And that's 7 nights a week. Yeah, my home bar is shout out to the Eagles RE34 in South Minneapolis, where I am a proud member.
Right on.
And the best thing is that I can go there by myself and talk to all the people who also go there by themselves. Face to face all the time.
Face to face can't be doggy style every time. Sometimes it's got to be missionary, doesn't it? Face to face. Keep it real.
Oh, that's great. I got to say, man, I knew Minneapolis kind of well before I moved here, but the last 2 years, I've yet to find a bar that didn't work for me. Obviously, some better than others, but man, what a great dive bar town. I'd put it up next to any other town I've ever been to. And in fact, I'd put it at the top of the list because I've gotten to spend, now that I'm 2 years plus in, I mean, I've been to so many and repeat visits, and and I have that great Minneapolis knowledge where I don't know any street names, and I don't even remember certain bar names until I get there, but I know how to get to them all.
Yeah.
I know my favorite restaurants, my favorites. I have a million places I just go and figured out how to get there. It's kind of nice, man. Don't ask me how to get anywhere, but I can get there myself.
I can
absolutely get there. Yeah, that's exactly it. No question about it. But not surprising to me. Here's the thing though. The one thing I don't have one specific absolute that's my spot, because I'm still finding new bars. I'm still experimenting and exploring. But I guess at some point there will be one that I realize, like, hey, this is kind of my place here. I already feel like I could make probably a good half dozen. It wouldn't take too long before I felt that way. But basically what I'm saying is, to everyone who came before me in this wonderful town of ours, thanks, because by God, the bar scene here is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, they did lay it down. Those generations, the neighborhoods and their bars, that's where it's at. You can beef on Minneapolis, St. Paul, some of the close suburbs if you want, all sorts of things going on. But when it comes to dive bars and the foodie scene, I'm going to lump them in as well. You've been to far more places than I have, but I've lived in a few cities, and there's nothing like it. It's probably the number one reason to love the inner city, I think, the neighborhood bars.
Here's a speaking of having a tipple, if you will, story out of London. A construction site recently, just last year. Some diggers on a scene. They pulled up construction crew digging holes, and they were digging trenches, I should say, and they found a bottle. They were like, this doesn't look like a normal bottle. They recognized it's like old, ancient, like probably a couple hundred years old. It's been buried here. They took it to a school nearby. Somebody, the scientist, someone in a white lab coat, and they said, hey, we think we found a bottle of rum. I mean, can you tell us how old this might be and if it's possibly still good? The shape of the bottle was introduced around 1790, and then there was something up until about 1840 where bottles were changed. So it was at least as old as 1840, somewhere between 1790 and 1840. Okay. A nice 50-year gap. But you're still talking about this bottle is a couple hundred years old, and it did look to be rum, and they took it to a lab to test it, and the test results came back, and they were like, hey, you might not want to drink that. That's actually 200-year-old human urine.
I did see. I love it. This entire time it was Canadian Mist. Wow.
That's exactly right. How about that? Like, hey, so the question may very well come to you, which came to me, which was, well, why was someone peeing in a bottle 200 years ago and then sealing it? What was that all about? So the answer, they used to have something. It could be what they used to call a witch's bottle. People used to fill a bottle with pee, seal it up, and bury it, and that apparently would keep evil away from the house.
Sure.
There was another theory from back in the day that if a sailor happened to live there, sailors would bury those bottles that before they took off, it would ensure a safe journey and return.
Could you come up with something else, like actually taking a shot of some good booze? Do I have to seal a bar? Right, give me a bottle.
I'm no expert on 17th century nautical endeavors, but I will say this. You probably wanted to bring that with you. You may have needed it. You know what I'm saying? You get out there, you don't want to drink that salt water, and sometimes, those northerly winds aren't all they're cracked up to be, and suddenly you're like, boy, my kingdom for a bottle of my own pee. I think that's kind of how that goes. I saw a movie once, and that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Who knows? So as it is a Wednesday, quickly, midweek mixtape we're putting together. What are the songs you never get tired of hearing? What's a song you put on repeat any chance you get? Baby Blue by Badfinger came in from Lee, and as soon as I saw that text, I just went, oh, I could put it on 9 times in a row right now. It'd make me very happy. What's that?
I said I just had the same thought you did. Like,
just let it whoosh. Let it whoosh over me like a bottle of 200-year-old urine. Nothing could be better. Hey, 92 KQRS would love to send you to see Metallica at Mile High Stadium in Denver this summer for the final nights of their M72 No Repeat Weekend tour. For a shot to win Snake Pit tickets for both nights, plus airfare and hotel for 2, text the national keyword FADE to 95819 for your chance to win. The top 5 at 9 coming up. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Aerosmith with Come Together right there, featured on the Aerosmith Greatest Hits album, as well as the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie and soundtrack. Man, is that the worst movie ever with a good soundtrack. I mean, between that and Earth, Wind & Fire's Got to Get You Out of My Life, there's some things to recommend. But, I mean, look, my first favorite band was the Bee Gees. My second favorite band and lifelong favorite is the Beatles. And I went to see a movie starring the Bee Gees about the Beatles music when I was like 13, and even I thought it sucked.
Yeah.
Man.
As a kid, I remember Mom really wanting to watch it, and so we watched it, and it had been released. It was on TV by the time I saw it.
Yeah.
I was a teenager, and I thought it sucked too. And I liked Kiss's Phantom at the amusement park.
At the park, that's right.
Right, but I had no time for that. Yeah.
Oh, I remember watching that. I was so into Kiss at the Phantom at the park. I liked that movie so much that years later, I turned on The Young and the Restless, and I saw an actor. I was like, that guy's in the Kiss movie. I mean, it was probably 10 years later, and I recognized the face, and I was like, I know that name, that man's face anywhere. He was in the park.
Yeah.
No, these are wonderful, warm memories to look back, aren't they? Just the sound. It's funny because I think about that Sgt. Pepper movie. I think about somebody at ABC television going, "Let's give Kiss their own movie," and I think to myself, "Man, cocaine was cheap back then.
Yeah.
Cheap and plentiful."
I remember the ABC running the promos, and all week long, I had a hard time sleeping, I was like, I don't know, when I was in junior high, I was like, I can't believe there's going to be a Kiss movie, but actually, so I hadn't seen them in concert, there weren't music videos back then, and this was a chance to see Kiss, and their superpowers, of course,
Heck yeah.
which I assumed were real.
I had no, you know what? I didn't know either way, but it hadn't been proven that they were or weren't real, so I just leaned on the side of real. Sure.
Yeah.
I had a class. I had a drawing class, like an art class. I just remember it was called Lines and Shapes, and it taught you how to draw things, which I didn't learn a thing. Like, I'm the kind of guy, like, I can't sit in front of a tree and draw it, make sense of it. But if I can look at a drawing of a tree and copy that, like, there's a, does that make sense? Like, if I
You're
see
halfway there.
Yeah, if I see someone else, how do you draw a tree? I stare at a tree all day, nothing happens. But then I look at someone else who's drawing it, I go, I see. But like there's a thing that I can never get past. And so for my final project for that class, I said I was going to do a rendering of the Kiss Love Gun album cover.
Yes.
Which, if you remember, not only is it the four badass members of Kiss, but standing there shoulder to shoulder like the superheroes they were. But I believe there's an awful lot of scantily clad women strewn about their feet as well. And I was just like, oh, yeah, I can totally draw that. And with color, I'll make that look real. And no, it didn't happen. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, over a dozen women in that one at their feet. And I don't
just
remember.
All shapes and lines, man. Just shapes and lines.
What I don't remember, I don't remember if I did or not. I remember that I didn't even do it. I didn't even turn one in. What I don't remember is the lie I concocted as to why I didn't turn one in. But I didn't have to repeat 7th grade, so that was good. I mean, I got out of it somehow, one way or the other. Hey, it's a Wednesday, which means we're putting together a midweek mixtape. We were asking for songs you would listen to on repeat. Groundhog Day is this Sunday. And, just the idea of something over and over, but what you would willingly subject yourself to. A lot of great song suggestions. I like this one. Just came in on the text line, Run, Run Away by Slade. If you're familiar with that, fantastic tune. This is why I love these things. You just get these songs you haven't heard, like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. Whereas now I'm reading a text, Switching to Glide by the Kings, which I would have to Google because I don't know what that is. But, hey, I'm sure
I know that one. I'll send you a link later.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's a banger. Right now, it's time to get to the top 5 at 9. 5 stories we feel like you probably need to get your day started. And if your day is just now starting, you have won at life, ladies and gentlemen. Number 5 on your top 5 at 9, MnDOT's Name a Snowplow contest. The honorary co-captain of the voting competition, Brian Zepp, this year.
I'm going to be a tough judge.
Man.
I was, me, I always roll out of the rack a little cranky in the morning. Little bit. It's all right. It's fun. It's a good thing. We've been doing it for like 20 years here in Minnesota. I feel like we sort of pioneered this thing. But when I heard that Tennessee was doing the snowplow naming contest, I just, mentally checked out. It's not cool anymore when the Southern kids are doing it. But, all right, what do we got? What are people thinking?
But here's one thing you have to recognize. In Tennessee, it's literally name the snowplow. There's one for the whole state. So it's a different thing. It makes it a little different. But the top 50 names are on. You can vote for the top 50 that have been submitted. I didn't see this one earlier, but hey, nice tip of the cap to an athlete in town, Anthony Sledwards.
Yes.
All right.
I see you working there.
Yeah, that's good.
I came, I thaw, I conquered. All right.
Yeah, all right.
Just scraping by. Yeah, no business like snow business. Okay, a little, yeah. But I think my favorite is still 867-530 Brian.
Yeah, all right.
Come
See,
on.
I didn't laugh at that earlier, but yeah, all right. It's getting. Maybe I'm just a little bitter because I officially submitted one many years ago called Get Plowed, which is just obvious and awesome, I thought. And no, didn't even make the finals. In fact, the next year when I tried to, put in another one, Cleopatra or whatever stupid one I'd come up with, they had blocked my email.
Oh, well, now we're getting somewhere. And so go ahead, lean all the way back. And so how did it make you feel when you found out your email had been blocked?
Hurt my feelings, Steve.
I bet it did, you poor little bastard. That explains the Boz Zep bug vibe you were giving off earlier, or the Zep humbug, whatever it is. All right, it all comes full circle. Thanks for sharing, Brian. Ryder, is there a moment in your life you'd like to share that left you shattered and disillusioned?
Well, it was when I was just abandoned the first day of kindergarten by my parents, and they both know that I still bring it up.
Wow.
35 years later.
Okay, all right.
We gotta save that for another day.
No, well, okay, if you say so, because I was about to go into fifth gear on that off ramp. Holy crap, abandoned. All right, I got a kindergarten abandonment story for you as well. So that's something we can all look forward to. Just bringing our most gut-wrenching memories up to the fore. But let's move on with the top 5 at 9 for today. Number 4 in your top 5 at 9. Anybody who's just getting out of bed can ignore this next story. A new survey says the average American worker wakes up at 6:30 a.m.
Okay.
They are out of their house by 7:23. They actually say, I'm ready to fully interact with other humans at 8:40. So you're awake for 2 hours before you actually feel ready to interact. And you're not 100% dialed in and at your mental peak until 9:40. It takes 3 hours to be fully aware and awake and alert. And then peak productivity not till 11:22. So what this tells me is the first 5 hours of the day are a wash. Don't worry about it.
And then you start screwing around about a half hour after lunch. So, not a lot's getting done, but that's all right. Just enough to get by.
The key is not to have lunch or take it at home because you're going to take a nap after. I mean, or maybe that's just me. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. You know, if I go for a full meal at lunch, if I go for a sandwich with a bowl of soup, I'm out for 6 hours. It's great. But of course, this is they're saying most people aren't fully with it until 9:40. And, of course, for us, that's the beginning of the rest of our day. So if you're just waking up or if you're me, Zepper Ryder, that story has nothing to do with your life. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, there's a building downtown. It's called the City County Building. It's the municipal. That's where the mayor's office is. It's where all the stuff happens. You know, City Hall, basically. It's what you would call it. But they call it the City County Building. Monday morning, 2 days ago, a 65-year-old city employee went into the men's room on the 5th floor. The guy is 65. He's worked for the city for decades. He's just got to relieve himself. Not sure if he's just taking a leak or if he's going in to, drop off a couple of logs at the cabin. But the point is this. Things went awry. So much so, we have to play you the 911 call.
Along with EMS and the sheriff's units, are requesting a city officer respond to the 5th floor. They have a 65-year-old male with a gash to his leg after having a toilet explode.
After having a toilet explode. Yes, the exploding toilet. And not because of this was not an intentional explosion. No, someone didn't flush a firework down there. No, just some old buildings that need a lot of work on the pipes.
It's not a toilet's revenge. Usually it's me exploding on the toilet, but...
Well, yeah, no, I mean, when I hear about thank you, toilet explosion, I take that in a whole different place in my mind. But if nothing else, let's hope this guy gets a few days off of work for this. Although... It should be said, even at 65, no one's ever going to look at that guy again without thinking, that's the dude that was dropping a deuce in that toilet. Not his fault at all, but he will suffer the consequences. He's now known as the guy that exploded a toilet. Well done, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that pension's worth it. All right, number 2 on your top 5 at 9. Minnesota Wild. Oof, man, Kaprizov out for another month.
Yeah.
Out for another month with this lingering, as they say, lower body injury. Ryder, when you hear lower body injury, any assumptions on what that means?
I mean, I automatically think nutsack, but who doesn't?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It makes sense. That's the family jewels got racked up somewhere along the way. But he's going back into surgery. He's played a few games, but he's not been himself. Yeah, don't put your best offensive player back in until he's at 100%, because you're just going to set him. You're just going to end up sitting him longer if he's not fully recovered. And I tell you what, if this is a groin injury, if this is something to do with the nutsack, then by God, take an extra few weeks, bro. Get that stuff right. Come back in. You want to put the biscuit in the basket, and you don't want to be thinking about your own biscuit basket when you're doing it. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, but they need him back in the lineup. So
whatever your job is, it could be a member of the Wild, it could be a radio host. The less time you spend thinking about your balls at work, the better work day you're going to have. I'm just saying. think we can all agree on that one. Hey, want to say good morning to Circle Pines, our listeners in Circle Pines. Congratulations. Is there? Let me ask you: is there a circle of pine trees that you would recommend I drive out and take a look at, or is it just one of those town names that you look back and go, no, they really just threw two words together?
Just pines circle the entire town. I don't know. Yeah, no, it's in pine country. It's up there where pine country gets started. The tall pines, but yeah.
All right, well, Circle Pines, we're thinking of you, and I hope you're thinking of us, and I hope you're enjoying the morning. Number 1 on your top 5 at 9. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but if you're a golfer and you want to get out and play some golf, you still have to wait till tomorrow. Montgomery National Golf Club will be open tomorrow and Sunday for tee times with carts. Oak Summit Golf Course in Rochester opened yesterday and will also be open tomorrow. Nothing like a heat wave in January in Minnesota to completely confuse the hell out of me. I don't know what you guys are thinking about this, but the idea that we're going to be in the high 40s, maybe even hit 50 tomorrow, hey, that is golf weather. Go figure. I can't remember the last time I played golf in January down south. I certainly can't imagine that that's something anyone's done lately in Minnesota.
Yeah, I know. I haven't hurled a golf club at a tree in February before, so, maybe this is the year. We're talking about that Wyzetta Chili Open. They played golf out there on the lake. They might actually have to move it to a golf course this year. So, here's the thing. I'm a winter enthusiast. I dig me some winter time. Yeah, I don't like the sub-zero temperatures, but if you can't get out of it, get into it. But I have a lot of friends freaking out right now. It's going to be sunny and almost 50 tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, what are you going to do? Nothing. Yeah, you're not going to. It's not like you're going outside to fly a kite or take a long walk through the park. You're excited it's not sub-zero. That's good. All right. It's, high five. Why not? This happens from time to time.
Certainly does. I just didn't expect it. And by the way, as a guy who's still acclimating to cold weather living, not happy about it. I want the winter. I want the snow. I want all of it. And so far, Minnesota, come on. I'm not going to blame myself for this, so I got to blame somebody, right?
Oh, don't dare Minnesota. Don't dare Minnesota. It's only January, 29th today?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of winter left.
We're not out of this yet. Yeah.
Well, I am the guy 31 years ago this month. I was in California. I said, I just want to feel a little earthquake. Just want to know what it feels like. And then I woke up at a 7.2 whatever it was, scaring the living daylights out of me, and everybody blamed me. So you know what? I won't dare you, Minnesota. I'll just humbly suggest, give me a little something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's your top 5 at 9 for January the 29th.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.